Hello everyone and welcome to Devils United. This is the preview for Manchester United versus Norwich. Hello everyone and welcome back to Devils United. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I am on the road to 400 subscribers. With me today I've got Kyle, got Brush and I've got Rish here. How are we all, everyone?
I'm great.
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad.
Oh, good. How are you feeling about the game, Brush? Are you feeling quite excited for it?
I am. It's been rather refreshing since Ralph's come in. The only thing I will say, though, I have seen some pretty ambitious score predictions for this week because it is Norwich. But I'm a tad concerned because obviously we saw how much we pressed and stuff against Crystal Palace. But even then, it took that one moment of brilliance to win it. And in the final third, we were a bit sloppy. So I think it's a work in progress and it will take time.
100% agree with you. And Kyle, how are you feeling for the game?
Yeah, I'm reasonably confident. I think we'll like he's touched on there, I think we'll get a narrow win. I don't think we'll absolutely hammer them. But there's good signs so far, but still a work in progress.
And Rich, how are you feeling for the game as well?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the game. I think in a long time, I've been going into the game saying, yeah, we're going to lose probably every game for the last 2 months. But I guess this is a new era, so really excited about what Ranić brings to the team and see where we can go. I'm probably thinking for a more comfortable victory than what Kyle's thinking. At least I'm thinking at least a 3-0 victory for us.
Great. I can see there is a couple of comments here already. The live chat has been going crazy already. Just want to say big up here to Vincent in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. I've got Wills here. Hello to you too. I've got Ashley. Hello, Ashley. I hope you're well. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing. I know you did subscribe recently, so thank you very much for that. Fox's Focus in the chat. Good evening to you too. Got Niall Kane here in the chat. Hey there to Niall. Got Doug from Dugout Football. Hello to you, Doug. Luca is in the chat as well. We've got a new person here in the chat. I've not seen this person yet, so hello to you. Thank you for tuning in. It does mean so much, all the support. Got Ginge in the chat. Hello, Ginge. I hope you're well. Got Ali here too. Hello to you, Ali. I've got my queen here. Hello to you. Hello as well. Need goal difference to start climbing up. 100% agree. We do need that goal difference to climb up because we're on, I think, 1 at the moment for goal difference. So that does need to improve. Good evening to you as well. Ashley said we shouldn't expect a huge scoreline. It will be 2-0 Man United. And we have got Mila here in the chat. Hello to you. I hope you're well. And Luca has predicted a 3-0 for Manchester United. And coming from an Arsenal fan, I'm pretty happy without that. So I thought of a couple of questions. So what we'll do, we'll go through a couple of questions and then we'll do a lineup prediction, see what we think the lineup's going to be. So I'll start with the first question. Do you think Norwich will be on a high after their recent appointment of Dean Smith? What do you think, Rish?
Yeah, I think they will be on a high after their appointment of Dean Smith. I think they went on that 2-game or 3-game unbeaten run. I mean, that's not a lot, but three game unbeaten run with Smith. And I think they can trouble United. They've troubled United in the past when they were in the Premier League as well. I just feel United with this new system, with this new pressing system that Ranić's going to bring, I think they're not going to just sit back and let Norwich dominate it just because it's away from home. I think United are going to be dominating games right now in the next couple of months when our fixture run is really, really, really good. And talking about Norwich, I think they're a decent side. Definitely the appointment of Dean Smith has brought some life into the teammates as well, into the players as well, because Daniel Farke, he's been there for a long time, but I don't think like he was suited to the Premier League, because he was more suited to the Championship level when he was getting back Norwich to the Premier League. I think Dean Smith is a definite good appointment, but yeah, I really don't still think that they will survive the Premier League this season.
Kyle, what about you? Do you think Norwich will be on a high?
Yeah, if they'd been under Daniel Farke, I think we'd have won 4-0. But I think it's going to be a lot tougher now with Dean Smith in charge. I still think United will get the job done, 2-0 or 3-1.
And what about you, Brush?
Yeah, I agree with those sentiments. I think they're on a new manager bounce, and Smith knows the Premier League inside out, so it does make the job more difficult. But we've got the quality to see it out.
100%. I can see people in the chat are saying that the only outcome is a Man United win, and of course that we do need these clean sheets. I have actually looked at the Premier League table just before this stream, and I noticed Norwich has only scored 8 goals this season, and they've conceded 31 goals, so that's a big massive difference. So they're literally averaging out conceding 2-3 goals every single game, which is not that good. But when you do look under Dean Smith, they have only lost 1 game. They won 1, and then I think they drew the rest, and then they lost against Tottenham. So considering who they had Newcastle, they've had Brentford recently as well, they've had Tottenham, who they did lose against. So they've not had a real bad run, to be honest, after.
No, and it's very tight at the bottom as well. So that's also of concern. I don't think any of these teams are just going to give you points, especially at this stage of the season. Because looking at our fixture list going into December, I am quietly optimistic that we can go on a run. But at the same time, we have to give them all respect and approach the game in the right manner.
Yeah, I completely agree, 100%. I'll go on to the next question now, what I did have. And it was just more of a question on after the Wednesday game. Do you think we might see any of the academy players after the game on Wednesday? What do you think, Kyle?
I don't think so. Most of the academy players weren't brilliant against young boys. Only really Greenwood, Bailly, Henderson, and possibly Donny really stood out in that game.
What about you, Brush? Do you think we might see anybody?
No, I think one thing that was clear to see was that a lot of those lads did look rusty coming into the team, and they're in need of regular football. With a few of the academy guys, I think a loan might be the best thing in Jan. I'm not sure that they're quite there to make the step up. Even Ilanga, I think he needs to bulk up a bit. But given time, I think he could potentially do a job. I was quite impressed with Mengi.
Yes, that was someone who I was particularly impressed with the most in the young boys game. I think when he did come on as a sub, I was a bit especially knowing it was Luke Shaw, and I've not seen him as a left back before, so I was a bit 50-50 on how he was going to be. But what I really did love about Mengi, what I saw, unlike the other players, I'm not obviously saying bad things about the other players, but it felt like he was a lot more determined. He slipped, got back up, and he won the ball. And for me, that is determination, what you do want from a Manchester United player, and that is something what is a quality to have when you do come into the first team. Apart from that, though, Mason Greenwood, I think personally he should be getting that a little bit more game time now, especially knowing how Rashford is being at this moment in time, and we've seen that Mason Greenwood can play on the left from the young boys game. So I would love to see a bit more of Mason Greenwood, and perhaps maybe using Rashford as an impactful sub, because we know we can do that in Villarreal, and we know we could do that for Leicester as well. Rish, what do you think? Do you think we might see any of the academy players?
No, I don't think so. I think this game will probably be the lineup would kind of be very similar to what we saw in the Crystal Palace game. Not a lot of changes, but I agree with you. I would like to see more of Greenwood in the lineup compared to Rashford. I think I don't see Rashford in that 4-2-2 lineup, being very effective. I think Greenwood is a much better option up top, and just because it was like our inevitable plan was to get Greenwood into that striker role. Obviously, that Ronaldo transfer, everything changed because of that. But I think the plan was to get him into that striker role, getting him more game time. I don't really think that he should be playing on the wide. I think he's a really good finisher, and he should be playing up top with Ronaldo.
Something what I do love in particular about Mason Greenwood, especially what you heard last season, he was doing that private training with Cavani, learning, and you could see that, especially in the FA Cup game against Everton, he was being a bit like Cavani with his movements, his headers, and then knowing he's got Ronaldo now who he can look up to, you can look in and think in the next couple of seasons he could potentially be one of the best strikers in the world. Would you agree with that, Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely. He's got all the tools to become one of the best strikers on the planet, and it's just a matter of time, really. He just needs to be carefully nurtured, and by the time he's about 22, I think he'll get there.
And it's just a final question here for Brush. So we seen Elanga, he came on as a substitute for Crystal Palace. He started as well for Young Boys. There was rumours that he was going to go on loan in January just because of the game time. Do you reckon with Ralph being really impressed, do you think he will go on that loan move, or do you think Ralph might actually keep him till the end of the season, then loan him out?
I think a lot of it depends on who else might move in Jan. So if we end up keeping Lingard, I can see Elanga going. But it depends on which one of the two ends up sticking around, to be honest. With Jesse, I can very much see him going out in loan. So we've got every chance of keeping Elanga.
Yeah, I agree. And rumours are suggesting with Jesse Lingard, he's going to West Ham in the winter window. I'm not too sure what's going on with Paul Pogba. We're hearing rumours now about Martial wanting to leave the club in January, so it'll be interesting to see where he will go. People are saying Barcelona move is a potential, and of course they want Cavani as well. So people are saying if we do a Ronaldo and Cavani, I mean a Cavani and Martial transfer deal to get Frankie de Jong, would you have that, Rish?
I think I would be happy. Of obviously, I think I've been an admirer of Martial for a long time, but I think in the last year or so, I think he's really dried up. I think when we came back, when these games started, coming back to the Premier League. After the pandemic, I think we saw like a competition between Martial and Rashford, and I felt like after that year, I thought Martial would probably show his true colors, but I think he obviously dropped off by a level which I did not expect him to, and I've not been really impressed with his performances for the last year or so, and I really think that with the club and stature that Manchester United has, I don't think we should keep him. I think it's time for him to go. I think it's been a long while. I think I don't know how long it's been. 6 years, I guess 6 or 7 years. I think he's been at the club.
Been a long time. I think it's like 5-6 years he's been at the club now. Surely.
But I don't know like how you feel, but I don't think he's done enough to show that we still have faith in him. I think it's time for him to go, and I think we can definitely acquire at least 40 million for him, and then maybe buy some really good midfield player, which we definitely need.
Yeah, and I was actually thinking about Martial as well. When you do look at the time he's been at Manchester United, the price, the prospect, what we was thinking Martial was going to be, like we had in his clause about him winning Ballon d'Or. So we obviously had such high expectations about Martial. His first season was very good for me, and then that season when it stopped due to COVID and then came back in the June for that couple of months, I think that's when we seen a bit better off Martial as well, and I think he had like the highest goal scoring at Manchester United too. So we was obviously expecting that a lot more, and for me it feels like he does need to move on. And when you're hearing his partner saying stuff as well, like he wants to go to Real Madrid, it doesn't really put a good image onto the club, in my opinion. Yeah.
I mean, forget the season. What a start that he had! Like that winner against Liverpool when he came on as a sub, and we all thought that this is the signing that we needed, a French international who's going to light up the Premier League. But I guess it didn't happen.
I can see there's quite a few comments here, so everyone, thank you who has wrote a comment so far. I'll get back to a few people. Ashley, we need more consistent performances from all the players. Varane is back in full training, not ready to start against Norwich. Yeah, from what I was hearing about Ralph, what he was wanting to do with Varane just due to his injury record in the past. We know he can be quite injury prone. He wants to settle him into training and then bring him back as a player. And I think what he probably will do, I think he might do it for Brighton, or he might actually do it for Newcastle. I can't see him doing it for Brentford, and I can't see him doing it for Norwich at all. But it'll be interesting to see on the kind of training that they might do for Varane, just so he doesn't sustain any more injuries, because he's already had 2 injuries for us, and we only started the season back in August. So 2 injuries in the space of a couple of months, it's not good at all, and it just shows that we've rushed Varane too soon for me. Wills has said, hoping to see more of Menga. He was solid. Ashley, Mengi played well in the second half. Martial is leaving in January. Fox's focus, I think it's brilliant to see the youth given the chance to step up to the mark early in their career. Niall, yeah, I slot the young boys from the bench. Alanga, Charlie Savage, great young talent. Things are on top of up to credit to Ralph for staying behind at training to work with their under-23s. We can also see here, Ashley, I don't think the under-23s is the same football as first team. I completely agree with that, but under the same breath, if we are wanting someone at Manchester United, we need to blend them into first team. And if that's putting it into Championship and building the physical strength in that league and then load them into a Premier League team, like I think Newcastle's a good shout, Brighton's another good shout, Southampton is another good one for me. I think that's what we do need to do with certain players. And I think with Alanga, what I would do now, if I was going to loan him at this moment in time, it would probably to be someone in the Premier League, just so he can have that little bit of Premier League experience. Niall's got a question here. Maisy, do you think Martial will leave for Arsenal? I don't think Martial will go to Arsenal. If I think he's going to leave, it will be abroad. Would you agree with that, Niall? Do you think Martial will go to Arsenal or somewhere else?
No, I can't see Man United selling to Arsenal. Possibly United wouldn't mind selling to Newcastle if they're willing to offer big money for him and pay him the wages, but I don't think United would sell to Arsenal. So it's either Newcastle or abroad for me.
Yes, and just before we go as well, Vincent has made his prediction and he's gone for a 3-0 to Manchester United as well. I know there has been a lot of comments in there. I'll try and get back to as many as I can. So just please bear with me because there is quite a few comments. I'll go on to the next question here. Is there any players from Norwich who could cause a threat for Manchester United? What do you think, Brush?
Oh, the main man's Timo Pukki. Like the attack begins and ends with him, really, doesn't it? So he's the one to watch out for. I'm quietly confident though, because we've got a bit of a headache at the back now with our centre backs, because they've all come on and shown what they can do. So bit of a selection dilemma in a good way, I think.
Of course. And what about you, Rish? Do you think there's any threat in Norwich for us?
I don't really think so. I think it's a comfortable game for us. I think we can definitely win easily. As I said before, 3-0 is my prediction to go with United. I think we go ahead and dominate the game. I think before the Crystal Palace game, I think Ralph had 48 hours or something to in the training, or not even 48 minutes. Sorry, 45 minutes actually. To in the training ground with the players. I think he's had enough time with the players now. I would say a week. With the players, and I think we're going to see a little bit more, a much better performance from United. I think I know you all must have seen the game, but I think there were a lot of chances that United missed. Even and if you count Ronaldo, there were missed chances that we could have taken, and we could have easily been 2-0 up ahead. In the first half itself. But I think that's all going to change. It's going to take some time. The good thing about this is that we have a good fixture run for the next couple of months, and it's all winnable games. I'm not saying we're going to win every game, but it's all winnable games.
And what about you, Kyle? Do you think there's any players from Norwich who can cause a threat for Man United?
Brandon Williams? No, I don't think he can play.
No, he can't play, though.
Pukki, that's it. That's as far as my knowledge on Norwich goes. Just on Alanga, by the way, I think he's going to get some game time between now and New Year because it seems as if Ralph fancies him. He's taken a liking to him pretty early on. The fact that he brought him on as the second substitute in an important league game against Palace shows the faith that the manager has in him. Ollie didn't really show Alanga that kind of faith, so I can see him getting a lot more game time.
Yeah, I can see the exact same in terms of Alanga, especially knowing that he brought him as a sub for Crystal Palace. It just shows that he did have some kind of liking for Alanga. And you've heard comments from like Bruno Fernandes in the past that he's very happy with Alanga and that he's a potential to be a first team player for Manchester United in the future as well. For me, I think one of the biggest threats at Norwich is Billy Gilmore, because I've seen the way Billy Gilmore plays for Scotland, how he played for Chelsea. He hasn't had enough game time though for Norwich, especially under Daniel. He didn't get that game time whatsoever, but Dean Smith, he's getting that little bit more game time and he's probably a little bit rusty himself, but once he gets into the game, he is a very, very good player. He's one of them kind of players who he acts so much older on the ball than what he actually is. I think he's so calm on the ball. He passes the ball so well, and he's that kind of midfielder where I think he has got that potential to be at Chelsea as a long-term solution as well. I think he's brilliant.
He was man of the match against England for Scotland, wasn't he?
Yes, he was the man of the match for England as well. I can see here as well, Ashley, Mays, I'm saying that Rangnick's football needs to be played from the team to the under-23s. I agree with that comment, to be honest, because when you do look at the men's football, they've got so many levels, haven't they, in terms of football. They've got the under-23s, they've got the under-18s, they've got the under-16s. I think when it comes to the under-20s, the reserves team, they need to start learning a bit more of how the first team gets played, just so they can get used to that a little bit, rather than them not get played at all and then coming into Manchester United, playing like a Champions League night or playing in at the end of the season thinking, oh my God, what's going on here? How do it, I'm not been learning how to do this. I've been a 4-3-3 for under 23s. I've not done this 4-2-2-2. So I think it definitely does need to be learned very well in the under 23s, and that's why a lot of loan moves does need to happen. Do you agree with that comment, what Ashley has made, Brush?
Absolutely. This is integral to moving forward. We see it at City over the road and what they do. And when you look at players like Palmer come into that first team and he just takes to it like a duck to water, it's because that they have that same system and same style all the way from the top down to the first team throughout all the different youth ranks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. And when you look at women's football compared to the men's football, so there's the women's first team and then there's just the under-21s. So compared to the men's team, it's a big, massive jump. So it's a bit harder to learn the first team for the women's, but for the men's, because there's so many levels, they definitely do need to learn that little bit more first team football, how the manager does play. Fox's focus, Gilmore is all Chelsea hype to believe he will be a treat. Ashley's got a question here. What's your thoughts on Ronaldo can't play pressing football? What do you think, Kyle?
Well, what we saw against Crystal Palace was Ronaldo doing a lot of pressing and a lot of tracking back as well. So I don't think he can do it for 90 minutes constantly, but he'll be able to pick and choose when he can do it. And Ralph seems like he's going to accommodate him on that. He pretty much said that in his press conference.
Mm-hmm. And another question from Ashley here. Thoughts on Sancho so far? What's your thoughts on Sancho so far, Rich?
Oh, sorry. I heard Brush. No, Sancho. I think he's been good in the last few weeks. I think he's slowly starting to show his colors. You know what he can do, what he can bring to United. Obviously, you know, we shouldn't probably talk about what he was under Ole, because I guess there was no kind of like any system that, you know, Ole was trying to have for Sancho. But right now, I think he will play as the two number 10s that he's trying to with the formation for Ranić, and I think that will bring some kind of fruition for Sancho in the team. I think that formation is definitely helpful for Sancho, and I guess he can play as a right winger as well. But I guess I don't know if Ranić is ready to shift to that formation yet. I think he's still going to continue with the 4-2-2 formation, and I still think Sancho has still a lot of things to show that what he can bring to United, but I think he's starting to show what he can bring to United and how he can help them.
Mm-hmm. Niall, yes, Maisy, Billy Gilmore, one of our own. I forgot to bring him up yesterday on another channel. He's amazing for Scotland. He's a creative playmaker. He was man of the match a few times for Chelsea as well. Got Rich Sport in the chat as well. Hello to Rich. I hope you're well. I can see there's quite a few people just chatting to each other. And Niall, for me, Sancho is a different player and has turned the corner since Wrecking Ralph came in. He's a different player who's playing on the right wing like he did for Dortmund. So what I thought I'd do, what I thought could be a bit fun, to do a lineup prediction. And I thought what would be best, because I know probably it's going to be a 4-2-2 formation. So are you all happy to do a 4-2-2 formation?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So we'll get that up then. So we'll start with our goalkeeper. Brush, who do you think is going to be in goal?
I think it's going to be De Gea.
Yeah. Does everyone else agree with that? De Gea in goal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I just feel like with De Gea, he's far too good now to be dropped at this moment in time. He's really shown the kind of player he is. He came back from international break early to learn, to get better, because as people say, you need to hit rock bottom before you can get good again. And I think that was the case with De Gea. It's like he hit rock bottom in terms of the Europa League final, and he's just got better and better since then. He's saved 3 penalties just this season, and I just think, wow, that's so good. But what was you going to say, sorry?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, and to add to that, Maze, I am interested to see what this sports psychologist is going to bring.
Yes.
Because the mentality-wise, I reckon, a few of those players can learn and profit from that. De Gea being one of them. And like you said, yeah, he did hit rock bottom. But yeah, look at the recovery he's made.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. He's made absolutely amazing recovery. He's been brilliant for me. I say he's probably a contender to be one of the players of the season for Manchester United so far for me as well. And I believe he did get Player of the Month for November too for Manchester United. So that's also a very good sign of how well he's doing for the club so far. We'll go on to the right back. Kyle, who do you think who's going to be the right back?
I think Dalot is now first choice, so 100%. I think he's going to play.
Yeah, Wan-Bissaka's injured, isn't he, at the moment?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure how long Wan-Bissaka is going to be out for, but I can see that he was on a stretcher in the last game, so he could be out for a few weeks to a few months. Would you say that we probably need to look at a right back in this window as well?
Possibly. Yeah. I know we linked with Kieran Trippier, but I think that ship is sealed now. He must be he's 31, come 32. We need to be looking at someone younger. If Dalot's not going to be the long-term solution, then we need to be looking at a real attacking fullback, someone like Chelsea and Liverpool have, with Reece James and Trent Alexander-Arnold. We need to have a player like that in our team.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. Rich, who would you go for left back?
I think Alex Telles is the number one option right now for Ranić, and I think he brings his delivery into the box. I'm not saying like Luke Shaw is actually bad in terms of delivery. I just feel like the delivery for Telles is much better than Shaw, and I feel like he offers a lot more than Shaw. And I've always been a fan. Since he was at Porto, I have been actually following his career, and I was really excited that he is joining Manchester United. But I guess obviously he didn't get the game time that we all wanted him. At least that I wanted him in United. But I guess now Ranić is here, and he's the preferred option. So I guess Telles is the one for left back.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So it's going to be the centre-back partnership now. So each of us can just say a centre-back partnership of who is going to be the centre-back. So I'll stay with you, Rich. Who's your centre-back? Who do you think is going to be centre-back partnership?
For this game, right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Lindelof and Maguire.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Brush?
Yeah, I think that's what we'll end up going with.
Yeah.
On form, there is a case to be made that Bailly could be in there as well, but Lindelof for me is a definite.
Mm-hmm. And Kyle, are you agreeing with the same, or do you think maybe a different centre-back partnership?
Yeah, I think it'll be Maguire and Lindelof tomorrow. Long term, my preference would be Bailly and Varane.
That's a very good option. What about you, Brush and Rish? Who are your preferred centre-back partnership overall? Because for me, it would be Lindelof and Varane, just because I feel like Lindelof has improved so much. I think he's improved. He's not as weak on the ball anymore. I think he's much better with his heading. His clearances has improved so much. The only downfall with Bailly for me is just that he's too injury prone. So, what about you, Brush, Rish? Who would be your preferred centre back partnership if everyone was fit?
I think sorry, go ahead, Rish.
No, go ahead.
I would probably go with you, Maisy. I'd go with Lindelof and Varane. I do like Bailly, but the guy is made of biscuits, unfortunately. And he puts his body on the line like he doesn't really care about it, which, you know, often to his detriment. But on his day, what a player. So I would probably go with Lindelof. But then with Lindelof, he lacks that little bit of aggression, which is the one thing that really irks me about him. And in the Premier League, you need that.
I agree. And another thing, what I really do think that Lindelof has got, what the other centre-backs doesn't have, is his long crosses. And them long crosses, especially when you're playing against a team who are playing that low block, who are on that team who we call part the bus, you need them kind of crosses to come into a fast-paced player like Sancho or Rashford or Greenwood to pick up and shoot.
Absolutely. I think he would be a lot more appreciated in one or two of the other European leagues, you know?
Yeah. Rish, who would you have?
I just think that Maguire and Varane are probably going to be the ones who are going to be playing the most of the games. I'm not going to sit here and say that Maguire is shit, even though he has been in the last few months. It's just I feel like you sign an 80 million player and he's not just going to sit on the bench. What Ranić has in his plans, I don't know at this time. But I would prefer Lindelof and Varane as a centre back pairing at the moment if we can get that. But I just don't feel like Maguire is going to be sitting on the bench. He's the captain of the team and he's the most expensive defender that we've gotten. I think Maguire still plays. The only problem with Maguire is how I feel is the pressing system, the pressing game that Ranić and United are going to play. I just don't feel that he has the track packing pace to actually do that. So I don't know if that disrupts the United play if and what Ranić is trying is going to bring in that team. So that's the only issue that I feel like Maguire won't be able to fit in the system.
That's I completely agree there. I can see there's a couple of new people in the comments, Static and Jordan. Thank you both for tuning into the chat. It means so much. We'll go on to the midfield option. It comes up as CDMs on the 4-2-2, but who would you have, Brush, in that first midfield section for the two?
I think based on the last couple of games, there's only one man who, is a shoo-in, and that's Fred.
Yeah.
And he's coming for a lot of criticism from myself as well included. And, it just goes to show what can be achieved under the right system.
I agree. Would you put McTominay with Fred, or would you put someone else, like giving Donny might start instead?
No, I think we're going to keep it very much the same as it was last week. I think Ralph is, going to keep the changes to a minimal, to be fair, and just see how they get on. So I can't see that being disrupted. So I expect Scotty to line up next to him.
And what about you, Kyle? Who do you think will be in that midfield?
I think the same. Yeah, I think McFred will keep their place.
And what about you, Rish?
I think same. McFred going to be keeping the place. Maybe we see some changes in the midweek game, but I don't see any changes for now.
And I remember a lot of people were absolutely disliking McFred. Are you preferring McFred at the moment, or are you liking McFred a lot more, Rish?
Fred, I'm preferring to McTominay, definitely. I think McTominay, I still have some issues with him. Fred has definitely shown that he can play that pressing game. I don't know, like, why wasn't he doing that kind of a play when we were asking him? For the last couple of months, I think both of them were like absolutely shit. But Fred has definitely shown in the last few games that he can definitely perform at that level.
Brush, are you preferring McFred now, or are you still wanting a completely different midfield?
I mean, it's one of those situations, Maze. I think eventually we will see a change, maybe in the January window or in the summer. I don't think it's going to stay like this, but for the time being, it is what it is. In the future, I do see Scott as more of a squad player, though.
And what about you, Kyle? Are you preferring Fred and McTominay at the moment, or do you think it needs to change still?
Yeah, based on the Palace game, I think they should continue. But once their performance levels drop again, we'll maybe looking at changing it. Fred has obviously benefited from playing a bit further up the pitch under Carrick and Ralph, so maybe that's a better position for him rather than just sitting deep all the time.
I can see there's a few more people in the chat as well. Just want to say hello to Andrew, Tariq as well, and Ankit from Almighty Blues. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll go now on to the attacking option. For me, I think it's going to be Bruno and Sancho who's going to be next. Who do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, 100%. I think he'll stick with Bruno and Sancho. Sancho obviously excelled in a few games under Carrick, and I think he'll continue. Bruno has been playing well for a long time, and even under Carrick and Ralph, his form hasn't really improved that much. I think he'll stay in the team for now, but it's one to watch. If he doesn't start performing soon, he could be dropped for Donny, for example.
What about you, Brush? Who do you think is going to be in that attacking midfield?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Carl just said. And yeah, Bruno's days could be numbered if the performances continue to dip. But yeah, that's the two I think. I think Bruno and Sancho are in.
Yeah, I was actually looking at stats about Bruno in the Premier League, and 80%, since he started the Premier League to now, 80% of his games he's getting a goal or an assist. And you just look at that and you think, wow, that's just incredible to look at that, because I think I was comparing it to De Bruyne, just like everybody else does. Sorry, everyone, but I think Bruno has only got 10 less goals than De Bruyne, and he's been at Manchester City for 5 years. And you do look at that and you think that is a big, massive difference, really, isn't it, on the impact Bruno Fernandes has had as an attacking midfield compared to De Bruyne. I know De Bruyne is an exceptional player, but it's when you do look at that, you know that Bruno's made that instant impact, and he was that attacking playmaker, what we really did need for the club. Rish, what do you think for the attacking midfield?
Yeah, I think Sancho and Bruno is the way to go. But as I was speaking earlier, I think that's one of the places where I could see Sancho and Rashford getting some game time and getting switch places. But Sancho, I think Sancho definitely plays this game, and Rashford, I'm probably going to talk about him. But yeah, I think Sancho and Bruno right now is the way to go in that camp position.
Yeah. That's absolutely fine. So we'll put them both in now. So when you're looking at that team, you think, oh, this is a good team at the moment. And my hands are just getting like that, just in a bit of excitement. I'm not rubbing my hands because I'm cold. Don't worry, panel. Yes, so it's going to be the striking option now. Brush, who do you think is going to be on the left-hand side for the strikers?
So this is an interesting one. We know that CR7's a shoo-in. Now, who accompanies him? That is the question. On recent form, I would drop Rashi. I think he needs a break. But who is there to come in? Under this pressing system, I'm really intrigued to see what Cavani could do. I think he would be suited to this style. And also for Martial as well. I mean, I know we had the stories today about him wanting to leave. And it is last chance saloon for him this season anyway. But there are qualities that he has, his close control, his overall game. And I've always been intrigued to see how he would link up with Ronaldo.
Yes. I think if I was going to pick it on my personal choice right now, because Cavani's come back from injury recently, so I hope to see him very soon, maybe for Brighton, fingers crossed, because I really do love Cavani. And everyone knows who watches me on streams, I call him my beautiful, beautiful man. That's what I call Cavani. So I'd absolutely love to see the Ronaldo and Cavani link up. But if I was going to pick it, I'd probably put Greenwood on right now over everybody else. Is everyone agreeing Ronaldo's going to play no matter what?
Yes,
for sure. For sure.
The left or the right, what do you think?
I think the left one, yeah.
Left, okay. So that leads to the last striker. So, Kyle, who do you think is going to be in that striker? Do you think it's Rashford, Greenwood?
Yeah, my preference would be Greenwood at the moment. Rashford's not had a brilliant few games. In fact, he's not been brilliant overall since he came back from injury. He doesn't look fit at the moment. Greenwood was brilliant the other night, so I think on merit, Greenwood deserved to start this game.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Rish? Who would you have?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you guys. I think Greenwood definitely. I think Greenwood should start this game, and given the performance that he had in midweek against Young Boys, I think it must be churning Rannick's brains that should I actually start Rashford or should I actually start Greenwood over Ronaldo? And I think my bad, Greenwood over Rashford. And I really feel like Greenwood should start this game.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Brush? Do you think Greenwood or do you think Rashford?
No, definitely Mason over Rashford at this moment in time. My only concern would be, obviously, we know Mason likes to shoot, and we know how Ronnie is. So it would be interesting to see how those two play together, because I feel like they both want to take up the same kind of positions and have that shot. So yeah, it will be interesting. But yeah, and like you said as well, once Cavani's fit, I think that's what we're gonna see.
Mm-hmm. I think as well, if we are going to do this formation and Ronaldo does play on the left because he's better on the left, Greenwood would be better on the right-hand side on the striking position, because when you have seen Rashford on the right, he has been extremely poor in the past when you see him as a right winger. So I think him being on the right-hand side as a striker, that's just brilliant, just because I think that he's learned a lot more on the right, so I think he would be better on that right-hand side.
Yeah, and there's elements of Robben about him, the way he cuts in from that right-hand side. Some will say it's predictable, but then, when Robben did his thing, you couldn't really stop him, even if you knew what he was doing, or what he was going to do. So, yeah, hopefully Mason can follow suit.
Yes, so I'll go through a couple of the comments here because I can see that there is quite a few comments. I'll try and get back to what I can because I know there is quite a few comments. Ashley has asked a question: should Maguire be captain, and who should be the captain? What do you think, Rish?
I mean, right now, I wouldn't just take the captaincy off of Maguire. I think he still remains the captain. But I guess if there are talks internally and being talked about, like if Maguire is stripped off the captaincy, I think right now I would give the captaincy to Ronaldo, just because of the sheer experience that he brings into the team and the leadership that he'll bring. I think he definitely. I definitely feel like he should be the captain if Maguire is stripped off, but I don't see that happen anytime soon.
And what about you, Kyle? Do you think Maguire should be the captain, or if not, who should be the captain?
I think he'd remain captain for now, but yeah, long term, I don't want to see him, continuing in that role. I would agree. I think Ronaldo should get the captaincy, and I also wouldn't mind if De Gea or Bruno got it. But yeah, prefer Ronaldo. I don't think Ralph wants to, in the middle of the season, wants to come in and upset everybody. So I think he's just going to keep the status quo for now, and maybe at the end of the season we'll look at changing the captain possibly.
And what about you, Brush?
Yeah, they would want to, they don't want to unsettle things mid-season, so I see it staying with him for the time being. For me, I would prefer De Gea. With Ronaldo, I think, he's a leader on and off the pitch anyway, with or without the armband. So, he already brings those qualities anyway. And with the captaincy as well, there's always a hierarchy, and I like to give it to players who've been there for the longest, and, who better than De Gea?
Yeah. For me, if I was going to pick in terms of the captaincy, I've always said Maguire should be stripped from the captaincy, but most likely it won't be till the end of the season. If I was going to give it someone, I would give it to Bruno Fernandes. I feel like for me, he's shown true leadership on the pitch. And when you do have a captain, I believe that there should be a lot more influenced in the game. So there should be a midfielder or there should be a defender, because you know that they're always going to be about on the pitch, whereas a goalkeeper is just in that box and a striker striker's just far up on the pitch, whereas a midfielder is everywhere. If you had a fullback, the fullback's everywhere as well. So that's why I personally choose Bruno Fernandes. I think Varane is a future captain material for me as well in the next couple of years or so. But De Gea, I think he would be an amazing vice captain, to be honest.
Don't make Maisy, just one question for you, but don't you think, like, if Bruno is the captain, he loses his cool a lot of the times in the game? Do you feel like that's a good option if we have Bruno as a captain?
You need to look at it as Roy Keane. He lost his temper a lot and he was a captain. You want that captain to be very vocal. You want him to be like to the referee, this isn't right. And I think with Harry Maguire, he isn't like that. If something happened and it's something what we don't agree with, he'll just stand there on the pitch. Whereas Bruno will come up to the referee and say, no, this is not right. This is what happened. And you want that as your captain. You want that your captain to be the first person at the referee to explain the situation. You want him to defend the teammates, and you don't see that at all from Harry Maguire. You've always seen that from Roy Keane. You've always seen that attitude of Roy Keane, and I do love that in the captaincy. I do love that little bit of fierceness. I do love that little bit of vocal. So that's why I would really choose Bruno as well, more than anything, knowing that he is vocal on the pitch too.
The trouble is, though, Maze, with Roy, like, he would still give you a 7, 8 out of 10 every game.
Always, yeah.
Always. So, there's that about him. With Bruno, he does tend to throw his toys out the pram when things aren't going right.
Yeah.
So, his head drops, and that's worrying for me as captain. But,
and he gets in the referee's face for too much. He's doing it every single game now, and it'll get to the point where referees won't give him decisions anymore. He'll get brought down in the area, and the referee will not give him the penalty kick.
Like what you said, Maze, though, I think at the end of the season, Varane might be a decent shout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I really do love Varane. I think he is definitely captain material for me. It's just that he hasn't been at the club long enough for me at this moment in time. But if he was there 2-3 seasons, there's no reason why he shouldn't have it, for me, my personal opinion. To Andrew's question, the game is on tomorrow. It is a 5:30 kickoff. So there's quite a lot of comments. I'm just going to get through to some of the questions. I certainly don't like Midfield. Fred with anyone else should be the way. Van de Beek needs game time with the first team and not 18-year-olds and Grandad Matic and Mato. I think we...
Bit harsh.
Matic is my uncle. Matic is uncle. But to that comment... I do think with Donny, he definitely does need the game time, but I don't see it with Norwich just because he played a full 90 against Young Boys. So he's going to probably have that rest. And if he is going to start a game, it will be against Brentford. And I think that will be a very good option for him, knowing that Brentford's midfield is so open at this moment in time. And it's much easier for Donny to have that bit of freedom. So for me, I would personally risk it, put Donny on as a starting 11 player for... Brentford, but I do agree with that. He definitely does need more game time, 100%, and we need to see a bit more of Donny, because I've always said about Donny, is he suited to the Premier League? Is he suited to Manchester United? And we haven't seen enough of that at this moment in time, because when you have come on after 4 months, you are very rusty, so you never know what he is like as a player, so I do agree with that. Ashley said, Mick Fred will always play until we get a CDM in January or the summer window. I can see people... why not Bruno and Van de Beek and Sancho with Ronaldo? For me, with Van de Beek, I just don't think he's going to get that game time for the Norwich, just because he has played that full 90. But in terms of Sancho, that could be a good option to play up front, but I think he might drop him back and he'll put probably Rashford or Greenwood. Would everyone agree with that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. Question to the panel from Fox's Focus. If you could pick 2 United against each other, who would you like to see? Who would you like to see, Brush?
What was the question? Sorry, you cut out there.
If you could pick 2 Man United sides against each other, which 2 sides would you like to see?
Which 2 sides would I like to see? Oh, it's probably got to be 99 versus 08, hasn't it?
Yes, that would be for me as well.
Yeah.
What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I would go along with that. Yeah.
I mean, 99 holds a special place in my heart, but I think if we're looking at it objectively, that 08 team was different quality.
Mm-hmm.
That front three of Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez is probably the best I've seen. Like, defenders couldn't pick them up. They didn't know who to mark. The interchanges, it was just incredible.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Rish?
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with both of them. That
Mm-hmm.
would be my option to go.
Mm-hmm. I just wanted to answer Niall's comment. I haven't been ignoring the comments. I've been getting back to everybody's questions in the comments. I've been trying to make it as equal as possible, and I just wanted to make sure everybody does get their fair share in the comments, because I can see everyone was chatting amongst themselves as well. So I didn't want to bring everybody's comment up when they are having a conversation amongst each other, and I am getting back to everybody, and I am saying hi to everybody as well. My dad is in the comments as well. Hi, Dad. I hope you're okay. I'll see if there's a couple of more questions there as well. 1958 and 1999, what my dad would have for that team. So, yes. What we'll do, we'll finish it off with a score prediction. Kyle, what do you think the score is going to be?
I think United will win. I've changed my mind from the start of the show. I'll go for a clean. I'll go for a clean sheet. I think United will win 2-0.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Rish?
Yeah, I'm gonna go still sticking with 3-0 victory. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe,
what about you?
Maybe Ronaldo gives us a couple of goals as well. I have him in my fantasy team, so I would really like him to score.
I would love it. He's my captain for fantasy football. I've got to have him
Same here. Yeah.
Oh, mate, my fantasy team. I've stuck with Harry Kane for the longest, and I finally got rid of him this week. It's an absolute mess. I was I was playing the fixtures. I looked at the fixtures and they were so good, but Spurs are just pants, aren't they?
Brush, what do you think the score prediction is going to be?
2-0.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree. I think it's going to be 2-0 from it. 2-0 as well. Luca has said 3-0. Vincent has said 4-0. Niall has said 3-0, and Ashley has said 2-0 as well. I just want to say a big thank you for everybody who has tuned in. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody's comments. I've just tried to make it as fair as possible, answering everybody's questions. So I do apologise. I didn't put everybody's comment on the screen, but thank you for such an amazing comment, amazing comments, amazing panel. It's been absolutely amazing. Andrew, 3-0 to Manchester United. So we'll shout out everybody's socials. Kyle, where can we find you?
At Kyle_Quinn 1999 on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. And Brush, where can we find you?
You'll just see me about, mate. I'm usually just in comments and in call-in shows and whatnot, so you'll see me popping up here and there.
King of YouTube. This is what this guy is. He's king of YouTube. And Rish, where can we find you?
Yeah, I have this Late Winner Show YouTube channel. You guys can go ahead and subscribe if you guys like the content. It's all about covering a lot of football topics around the world. So we just covered that and just that, yeah.
That's brilliant. Everyone, make sure you go and check these guys' channels out. Their social media, they're all class people. I'm going to go live myself at 8:30 because I am actually doing a Premier League quiz. So I'm going to do a draw to see who everybody is going to get so everyone knows. And that's going to start in 2 weeks' time. So go and check that out. And I'll be doing a Brentford match reaction as well next week as well. So make sure you tune into all of them. Thank you, everyone who has tuned in. And until then, I will see you all very soon. Goodbye for now.